Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I hope you are all having a very nice day today. Continuing with my discussion of the 2019 Criterion Collection releases, today I'd like to talk to you very briefly, if I may, about spy number 960, Henri-Georges Clouzot's La Vérité. This is from 1960. This is directed by Henri-Georges Clouzot, starring Brigitte Bardot in a powerhouse performance. It is a very dramatic, tense courtroom drama with high stakes, and it is a cold dissection of a certain aspect of society at the time, for lack of a better word, a more conservative society, and also an examination of youth and the kind of consequences that may arise with respect to a kind of lifestyle that is characterized by, for lack of a better phrase, relative sexual liberation. Now, I mean this not only in the context of the courtroom drama, but also in the context of the various human relationships that the Brigitte Bardot character encounters during the course of the film, at least how we examine it. So, all in all, this film has a lot of punch, a lot of power, and it is driven primarily by the force and emotional verisimilitude of Brigitte Bardot's performance. It is a remarkable performance, and it is one possibly for the ages. So, La Vérité, it is a tough film to watch. It is a dissection of relationships that are potentially quite ugly, quite difficult to watch. Also, it goes at the heart and the core of perceptions and how we are perceived versus how we feel about one another. The idea of what we are thought to feel versus what we actually feel. And if there is a disconnect between those two, how can we resolve it in a way that can bring us some kind of satisfaction in our lives? And if not, then what are the consequences of that? So I think all this is at play here in La Vérité, which is this very riveting, almost tragic courtroom drama. A very interesting film from 1960, Henri-Georges Clouzot. So this is spy number 960. And so what we have here is you have a new 4K digital restoration with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. Very, very clean and crisp picture, and clean and crisp sound, if I do say so myself. It is a very lovely presentation. And then we have, for supplements, we have the documentary, which is from 2017, and which is called Le Scandale Clouzot, which is about the life and career of director Henri-Georges Clouzot. Now, this is very fascinating and illuminating because, as I say, it provides a kind of background, almost a bit biography, if you will, about Clouzot's life and his career and his style and the kinds of controversies in particular that plagued his career. And believe me, there were a number of controversies that punctuated his very long career. A very fascinating career, if I do say so myself. Quite interesting indeed, filled with many ups and many downs, both professional and personal, as suggested by the documentary. So highly recommend it. However, I should say that you should be careful when you watch the documentary Le Scandale Clouseau, because it does potentially give away the very key plot points with respect to the films The Wages of Fear and Les Diaboliques. So if you have not seen either of those two films, then I strongly suggest that you do not watch Le Scandale Clouseau, the documentary that is included as a supplement on this Criterion disc, because that would mean that you would run the risk of spoiling or being spoiled about those films. So if you're going to watch the documentary here, I would suggest first try to watch Les Diaboliques and Wages of Fear if you can, because it does give away, or does potentially give away, some of the ending elements of those films, which would be a shame to spoil. So just please be careful. If you are still so inclined, then I would suggest trying to go, there are no chapters on the documentary, unfortunately, but I would suggest going around, it's about, how long is it? It's about a little bit over an hour, I think. And so try to go to around the 45-minute mark or so. That's where there's a discussion about La Vérité. And it's very interesting because the production history of La Vérité, and in particular, for example, the history of Clouseau and the events that occurred while the production was going on, certainly the situation involving Brigitte Bardot and her situation, her personal situation that was going on during and also after the filming, which is quite dramatic and quite serious in many respects, and very grave. And so, but those details, I think, are details that one need not shy away from. So indeed, Brigitte Bardot does talk about them in an interview, which is also featured as a supplement here, which I'll get to in a second. And so I would suggest that if you're still interested in watching the documentary, and you don't want to be spoiled by the other films, then try to find the discussion on La Vérité in such documentary. I think roughly around the 45-minute mark or so, but just be careful, and just make sure you skip around just in case. But it's going to be around the latter half or the tail end of the documentary about La Vérité, the production details. And believe me, it's a very relevant discussion with respect to this film, because the production details were very turbulent, very stormy, filled with quite a fair bit of controversy and drama. So and I think it's relevant to the kind of story that is taking place within the film. Also relevant to the filmmaking style that was that of Clouseau. So, but anyway, that's one of the supplements here. So the documentary La Scandale Clouseau from 2017. And I should say that the documentary doesn't appear to be a Criterion produced documentary, so it's probably from another place, and the Criterion has been permitted to use it for purposes of the supplement. At least that's my impression. So. Next is an interview from 1960 with Clouseau himself. So this is a short excerpt from an interview in which he discusses, or he is asked about certain aspects of the filming, and he gives some details about the kind of conception of the film, how it was, what were its beginnings. And also he gives some interesting tidbits about his working relationship with Brigitte Bardot, which might or might not contradict what is being described in the documentary and later in the interview with Bardot herself. But so it's a very interesting bit of historical reference and comparison to see the different, or to see how Clouseau describes what the working relationship was like versus how other people describe what the working relationship was like. So to have this interview is a great insight into the mind and thinking of Clouseau himself. Very fascinating. Again, it's contemporary with the film itself from 1960, so it's very apropos. So that's the interview with Clouseau. Then there is an interview with actor Brigitte Bardot from a 1982 documentary called Brigitte Bardot, Tel Quel. So this is an excerpt, I understand, where she is seen talking about the circumstances that are relevant to the film La Vérité, including her working relationship with Clouzot, including her personal affairs around the time that La Vérité was being made, including the details about her child, also including details about what happened when I think it was her secretary had told all to some paparazzi, and so it was quite an embarrassment and a scandal that Brigitte Bardot was undergoing around the time of production. So there was a lot of stress, emotional stress. She also speaks very candidly about her attempted suicide around that time, and it was and she also talks about her relationship with her son, which is, it seems to me, quite complicated, but also filled with a love there, and other many personal details that she is very frank about. And so I find this to be very refreshing and very insightful. And also it provides other details about the production history of this film, which I indicated earlier, are very chaotic and filled with controversy. So highly recommended. Again, these two interviews that I mentioned, the one with Clouzot and the one with Bardot, don't seem to be Criterion produced, but they are borrowed from other productions. Still, they provide great insight into the actor Bardot, who, as I say, gives a towering, powerful performance here. And also insight into the production history of this film, which I also indicated is very chaotic, to say the least. So, and then there is also a new English subtitle translation, and also there is the essay here, which is in the booklet here. The essay is brilliant, and it is called, Women on Trial by Jeanette Vincendeau. So a really great essay, highly recommended. I think you can find it on the Criterion Collection website as well. But Women on Trial. So this is talking again about the context of this film, and also Bardot and Clouzot. And there is a lot of tidbits and information there. Well-written essay. So there you are. La Vérité, spine number 960. Okay, my friends, that is La Vérité. It's highly recommended and very intense. It's very intense and quite gripping. And I think I found myself emotionally exhausted by the end of the film, because I was so invested in what was going on, and just really quite a tough watch in many respects, which I think is a good thing. So this is La Vérité, spine number 960, for your consideration, my friends. Okay, so let me end it there, and so I hope you are all doing very well, and until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies. So until we meet again, my friends, cheers.